it's competitive these days. So to find a great player that has a body of work that you feel like you can get their skill set to a competitive level, that they can come in and impact your team immediately or down the road, those things are really important. But yeah, the transfer portal is never going to stop until they put some limits on this thing, because for us it opens in December, it opens again in the spring, and it's really like NFL free agency with zero rules.
Coach, let's stay on that for just a second. I know Nick Saban weighed in on the topic here a few days ago. Is there any hope that guardrails are going to be put on this in the next year, 2 or 3?
I'm just the head coach at Washington State. I don't make U.S. law.
We'll come back this direction. Coach Riley, let's go to you now. Cougar fans, as you probably know, are a pretty loyal bunch. It's definitely a family. Washington State University is a family. Speaking to the family right now, particularly those who like athletics, if you have a limited budget that you're donating to WSU, how much should go to the CAF? How much should go to the Champions Club, the next chapter, the Cougar Collective? What should Cougar fans be prioritizing when it comes to athletics?
That's a really good question. You know, there's a lot of different places in the athletic department that need our support, and you know, my Ann and my bosses can kind of figure that out at the end of the day. But I think for us, there's a lot of really necessary areas, like the collective and making sure that we have money to get the right roster is huge. The facilities, I think there's been a lot of talk in football and basketball with the game day experiences improving, and I think that's a huge deal. We want to have a place where we have a competitive home court, home field advantage. So that's some of the pieces, and then there's scholarships, and I think that's a vital piece that gets lost nowadays with all the NIL. Like just getting the opportunity to have the experience at Washington State, and I know we gotta donate to the CAF for that. So right now I don't know what the priority is. All three of those, you know, all those areas are very, very important. Like Coach said, I'm just trying to go coach some basketball and win some games, and I do know that the support that we have from the alumni base here is super important.
Appreciate it, Coach. Coach Ethridge, you and I chatted in September, our annual September visit at the basketball court, and I sensed frustration with you with the lack of collective money going to women's basketball. 2 questions. What's the status of NIL money going to you? And what does Cougar Nation need to know about what's required to keep this long-running string of postseason games, postseason berths going for women's basketball?
Well, again, Cougar Collective is crucial, and it's more crucial now than it's ever been. And certainly have had some new fans, people that haven't been maybe in our circle, step up with with Cougar Collective and got on board and helping us get a little bit of a pot. I wouldn't say it's extreme. It's not as much as we need. And I think the hard part with Cougar Collective is it'll carry over. What you don't spend now, you can use it next year, which is different than our operating budgets and some of the things that if you don't use it, you might lose it. But you know, we continue to need people to new fans, new people in the world of athletics and in the world of Coug Nation to want to support women's basketball, because it is an opportunity for us to be able to do some things and improve our roster, or more than anything, retain our roster. And none of us know yet with the House settlement and how that will fall out. But again, we operate with a lot of international students, and right now the best place that we can get them, you know, some opportunities is through the Cougar Collective. So women's basketball is in big need of improving that budget for ourselves, and couldn't say thanks enough to those people and what they're trying to do for our program.
Thanks, Coach. Coach Rogers, back to you. Kamie mentioned the House settlement. One piece of that is looming is roster restrictions, roster limits of 105 for football. That seems to be up in the air as of the last couple of weeks. Tell us where we stand in your eyes with roster limits, and I presume what have to be difficult conversations with the guys who are in slots 106 through 125 on your team.
Yeah, that's the hardest part right now is trying to be honest with players so that you're looking out for their best well-being and finding a place that they can play at if they're on the fringe of not making the roster. And that's really all I've tried to do in the last couple months is be very crystal clear on our approach, be really transparent for them so that they know where they sit, because it's one of the biggest decisions of your life to find the right college, university that you intend. But when you're told that you don't have a spot on the place that you chose to attend for roster limitations, to only be left in the gray up to this point, which is still, I don't know what that's going to look like. The longer it goes, the less I think anything will come of it. But the reality is, I think a lot of the players made the best decisions for themselves to find a place that they can maybe impact a program more. And so our staff was really transparent with that, and we've tried to help these guys find new places to play in doing so, and that's really the only thing we can do. So I feel good about the players that we've added, and I feel really good about the team that's in place right now. We got a couple more spots to fill, but we will be competitive this fall.
Appreciate it, Coach. Coach Riley, let's go to you. I think you have a handful of spots left as well. Just give us a rundown on who you've landed here in the last few weeks and what's left to do to build this roster out.
Yeah, we're almost wrapped up here, which is really refreshing, and it's been a long spring. We got five guys coming back. Parker Garrett's is somewhere around here. I saw him earlier. I guess he got bored by the coaches talking. So we got 5 returners coming back that I'm really excited about. Indy Okafor, Parker Garrett's, Case Wynot, Thomas Thrasterson, and then Reeve Avers. So a good group coming back. We've landed a few front line guys. We've had 3 guys in the front line that we want to fill in with Indy Okafor. EY from Texas Tech. We got Ims from Boise State, and then we got Simon Hildebrand from High Point. So we got a nice front line coming in. We got Jerome Morton from Morehead State that's coming in at the guard, and we pretty much just need one more guard and one more young big to come in, and we'll be set, and hopefully they all show up on campus in a month, because we got to get them to school. Our compliance got a lot of work to do, and it's coming up quick.
All right. So look for headlines here in the next 2 weeks for 2 more guys. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is the plan. Hopefully in the next week, because I got a vacation planned in 2 weeks, so I don't want to miss out on it.
Kamie, same question for you. You've got a handful of slots, I think, left, but you've been filling them up, and obviously you've made an incredible run at international students over the last, how long have you been here now, 6 years?
7.
7. So talk about the impressive inroads in the overseas market and what you have left to do on this current roster.
Well, we just got a commitment that I think will finish us out and will land us at 12 players. A few from overseas, yes, a few transfers. But I think the key so much for us is the ones that we were able to keep in our program. L.A. Villa is one of the best guards in the country. Alex Colville is someone that literally, if she had hit the portal, don't tell her, but the sky's the limit for what she probably could have gotten. So we really have, and then some good young players that were freshmen this past year. The hardest working players are still in our program. The ones that get in the gym, the ones that want to win, the ones that are loyal, the ones that care, the ones that want great dynamics, the ones that want to be Cougs and get along and compete and be for each other. They're going to lead our program, and then we're bringing in those exact kind of players surrounding them. And again, I think it's a really exciting time for us to where we are. Again, not as quite as big as we were, maybe not as talented as we were a year ago, but I think have a chance to be as good as we've ever been. So excited about the team that we have and the group that we have in our program. And for us, and my biggest need now is to continue to get fans in the stands, and we need to continue to support these athletic teams that we've got to prove ourselves as fans and as a program that if we want to be in big time athletics and in these sports, we've got to get people in the stands that show that support and excitement, and that's going to help players want to come play for us more.
To continue on that same thought, Coach Rogers, we'll go down to you. President Cantwell, a few minutes ago here next door, talked about how important it is for Cougar fans to show up now more than ever. This is a unique time for Washington State to take a leadership position in the budding, transformed Pac-12. Talk about the importance of filling Martin Stadium up this fall and what that means to the players and to the coaching staff when you have a loud crowd out there.
I think the support when you can fill a stadium is pivotal in college football because the players, they grow up wanting to play in front of that atmosphere. That's what they grew up watching on TV, and to bring them to a isolated place like Pullman, Washington, they can feel the energy because there is a different level of spirit just naturally with Washington State. And McCoy kind of talked to me about it in the recruiting process of when I took the job. Yeah, everybody likes to say, just so you know, they're going to say, go Cougs everywhere. And I didn't know that it was so literal everywhere, but go Cougs. But yeah, it's huge to fill up the stadium. It's huge to have support because the players, that's what they've dreamt of playing in front of. We can do that. We need it to happen. We will improve the game day experience. We just need people to continue to come out and work with us as we continue to make strides in that effort. It changes recruiting. I just came from a place that when we started winning, we started filling the stadium, and everything kept going back into the program to where we had one of the longest active winning streaks in college football history. So they tie together. Great players want to play in front of great atmospheres, and we have a chance to do that in Pullman.
Coach Riley, not the exact same question, but Pullman is a unique place. I wouldn't necessarily call it remote because, as President Cantwell pointed out, there's flights in and out. It's not that big a car drive from Spokane, but it is a very unique place to go to school and a place to recruit athletes. You're not a stranger to Pullman. Your dad had a significant experience growing up in Spokane. You were at Eastern Washington for a long time. You yourself played at Whitworth. So Pullman was no stranger to you. You obviously knew exactly what you were getting into from a recruiting standpoint. So just talk about how you sell Pullman and how you turn the uniqueness of it into a big-time positive.
Yeah, I think just the college town is a huge plus. It kind of self-selects the kind of kid that we want to get. We want guys that prioritize basketball and getting their degree. And at the end of the day, there's no better place than Pullman for that. And to be successful and to actually develop, you need to spend extra time in the gym. You need to seek out extra work. And so the way I will every once in a while we'll talk to recruits is like, you go watch Batman or one of those ninja movies. They go up to the mountain. They go see the sensei or whatever. You don't see them for a year or two, and they come back and they're the baddest man or whatever, Batman that can do whatever. That's what you're going to do in Pullman. You're going to go put your nose down. You're going to go work. You're going to go put you work your tail off in the summer. No one's going to see you in the fall, and all of a sudden you come in during the season, you're ready to go. And so, if you're serious about that and that's what you prioritize and you love, there's no better place in the world than Pullman to go get your degree and work on your craft.
Coach, I think you've just created a marketing slogan for every coach at Washington State. That's terrific. I like that metaphor. Coach Ethridge, I want to come back to something you said a minute ago. You said your upcoming roster maybe isn't as big as before, maybe not as talented, but the potential's there to be better. Tell me how that all works.
Well, I thought we had unbelievable talent a year ago and some real weapons, but just not, you mentioned it before. You just have to be old enough to be able to win big games. We were too young. We lost because of some inexperience. We went against other teams that have five seniors on the court. So kids need to grow up. So the sophomores that will be in our program this coming year, they're going to be significantly better. Obviously the sophomores turning into juniors, they're going to be significantly better. And so, I just think maybe the talent is key. We have good talent, but I just think the experience factor is going to make us into a better team than we have been or that we were, and more consistent team than we were a year ago. I think getting the right leadership in our program and the most competitive players on the floor. And again, I think those are areas that we've improved on and that we have a chance to really grow our team, and yet we'll still be very young. We'll only have 2 seniors on our team, and again, a chance, if we can keep them together, we can build something pretty special in the next couple of years.
Right on. Coach Rogers, coming back to you. You've done something since you arrived here in December that is fairly unprecedented for Cougar football. So in your recruiting class, you signed not 1 but 2 high school quarterbacks. And now in the transfer portal, you signed not 1 but 2 transfer quarterbacks. So now we have 6 or 7 quarterbacks, I think, on the team. So talk about this wealth of talent at the quarterback position and how they all work together and how you're going to deploy them.
Yeah, I said it when we left the spring. I was asked about who the starter is, and I think the starter has to earn it through fall camp. But bringing in the players that we brought in, it was a talent, not being able to pass up on the type of guys that we feel like they could be. But it's also just a really competitive position because once they perform, they leave, unfortunately. So it's a little bit thinking out ahead. But we believe in these quarterbacks. We believe in Zevi and Jackson Potter, and there's going to be a competition in the room, and I think it's the best for everybody. If you want to come to a place and a spot be given to you, don't come to Washington State. If you want to come into a place and compete and get better, everybody talks about in sit-downs. When I ask, what are you looking for? Maybe the number one thing that it's said is development. And at times I think of development as maybe developing from a competitive side and being on edge every single day because the guy right behind you could take your spot. And so there's pressure with that to show up every single day with a work ethic and a focus that's unmatched. And those that do that will end up being a starter. And my job is just to be an honest evaluator of what they're doing on a day-to-day basis and give them the platform. But there will be honesty with why the players are playing and maybe why the other guys are not. And I think nowadays, with everything being transactional, there are a large majority of families that just want the honest to God truth. And so they'll get it here.
Coach, just out of, right on. Out of curiosity, when you're recruiting 2 high school quarterbacks and 2 transfer quarterbacks, what's the pitch to a guy that says, we want you badly, and we're bringing a guy in right next to you as well? What's the pitch like? How do you convince them to come in with somebody that's right next to them in the same class?
Yeah, I think, they're in different classes, the transfers are. Julian Duggar, he played as a true freshman in the bowl game, so he's got 4 years left. He was a redshirt this year. Johnny Shepard has 3 years left. So regardless, if they say they don't want to come because another player's coming in, then they shouldn't come. That's the pitch. Don't come if you don't want to compete. Because I want the guy that's willing to come in and compete, because that's what's going to happen regardless, because I'll push the freshman ahead of a 3-year starting senior if he's better. This isn't the YMCA, this is competitive sports. The best players got to play, and you got to get them going in that direction to think that way. So that's the pitch. It's honesty. And I think that's the easiest thing to sell. There's nothing. It's nothing I'm really selling. I'm creating for an opportunity for them to come in and flourish.
Thank you very much. Coach Riley, let's talk about the men's basketball team for a second. So new talent coming in, some notable talent leaving. Give us a preview. What are we going to see from this team, both on offense, and you struggled a little bit on defense this past year, so talk about that in particular.
I think at the end of the day, we had some really bright spots, and we want to continue to make our identity a team that really plays unselfishly and competes and plays hard. And I think there was moments last year where we had a little bit of letdown on the playing hard and competing spot, and we tried to address that. We have a bunch of guys that I think are going to guard next year. We should take a huge step with our defensive rebounding. I think we addressed that with some of the bigger guys we recruited. And at the end of the day, I think hopefully we have a tougher team that's a little bit more consistent, and we still have those same values of playing together and playing to get good shots offensively. And really it's going to be on the 5 returners to make sure that we solidified that, and they've learned from the good and the bad last year, and hopefully we've evaluated the right guys that can come in and fill those holes.
Thanks, Coach. Kamie, talk about the summertime. I don't think people realize summertime's a really key piece of the puzzle to build chemistry for a basketball team. What's your schedule for the summer, and will everybody be on campus, or some kids playing overseas in tournaments?
Right. Well, this 6-week period when school ended, our kids leave, we send them home with a book that gives them the individual skills and the workouts that we want them to do while they're home, and that's very individualized. You know, certain kids need to really just shoot the ball. A lot of them do things off the bounce. A lot of them need to improve their conditioning. And then our strength and conditioning coach does the same thing. He sends them home with something. So they have something in hand that they can be doing on their own, that they know how to do. They come back to us unless they're on their national team. And we have about half of our kids will not be with us most of the summer because they'll be playing on some sort of national team in their countries, which is unbelievably great for us. And yet these same kids are understanding, even while they're with their national teams, they understand what they need to be doing for us on their workouts. So they're going to supplement some of our workouts while they're doing that. So really a win-win situation if they're not here in the summer. And those that do come back, you know, pretty much mid-June. And that's, you know, most of them may take a class, but they're in the gym with us. They want to be in the gym. They want to play pickup. They want to get in better shape. They want to start building the chemistry that starts right now in the summer. New players will come in. One freshman will come in. You try to start integrating a new team, and you just know that that's what builds, you know, your identity for the next year is how you compete this summer, how you train, very specific goals individually of what you have to do to get better. And I just love the buy-in that we have on our team right now, and I think everybody's committed to making sure that they're making improvements so that we're better next year.
Thank you. Coach Rogers, back to you. You were a defensive player when you were a youngster. You've been a defensive coordinator. Washington State last year, we had a good record, but it kind of fell apart at the end in large part due to defensive breakdowns. Tell me what you're seeing so far, and how do you turn the defense around, literally in 1 year?
I think it's just getting guys to play together. I would say we probably do way more individual drills and work than maybe the prior staff. I think it's more than just them knowing the scheme. It's them being able to utilize a skill and develop a skill, which is tackling, which is ripping out at the ball, which is finishing at the quarterback, which is playing off man, playing press man. There's so many things that they need to get better at. You just can't roll out the ball and play team football. But it is collectively getting 11 guys that fly around and hit people and are talking one language on the field. And with our defense, it does take a little bit of time. But I feel good about the players that are in place. I feel like we've got better up front with the portal additions. And I think that we will be really competitive on defense this year. Just for the simple fact of we do a lot that looks like a lot, but after the players get used to it, it's all simplistic rules so where they can just play as fast as possible and fly around and utilize the skill in which they, you know, develop during all the individual work that we do with them.
Coach, we'll stick on that for just a moment. With all the new faces coming together, particularly on defense, how do you build the chemistry, and who right now are standing out as the team leaders?
Yeah, I think you got to put them in the environment. You got to. We do a lot of things with our mental strength coach, just developing relationships. We call them DNA sessions, where our players get to know each other in smaller groups, and it doesn't matter what position that they play or class that they're in. We spend quite a bit of time in the off season just trying to connect as individuals and understand why a player plays, what he's motivated by, his family dynamics, why he is the way he is, adversity in his life. We're trying to peel back the onion on what makes this person who he is, so we understand how to coach him and understand how to connect with them at a deeper level. And I think when the players know the players why, they play harder for each other. And with these additions, we have to do it all over again. That part is critical. And so not just in training this summer, we will spend a lot of time in the connection of the team, because this is, I think I did the count a couple of days ago, this is slightly over 40 players that were on last year's roster or on this year's roster. It's about 70 new players coming together, whether they were freshmen that signed with us or transfers or the players that came from South Dakota State. So there's a connection piece that needs to come together for sure, that they trust each other and play really hard for one another. But I think honesty of holding people accountable and bringing them back to the reason of why they chose Washington State will always be at the forefront of our conversations. Nobody came here to lose, and that was very evident in my message to those guys that we were bringing in.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Coach Riley, you're kind of an expert in building chemistry. You came into a program last year with 2 players on the roster. So you had to put it together fast, and you had to build the chemistry fast. This year is a little more of a luxury. You have 5 returning players. But in the history of college athletics, having 2 and then 5 isn't the most advantageous position to be in. Just talk about that, the challenges of building chemistry with guys that don't necessarily know each other.
Yeah, I think it's a huge piece to this, especially with the changing of college basketball. 5's a pretty normal number nowadays, which is 5 years ago that would not be the case. And there's just a multiplier effect when you have good chemistry and you have guys that want to play for each other. And I think that's what it looks like usually when teams overachieve. And I kind of view my success and our coaching staff's success is did we achieve with the talent we had? I don't know if we did that last year. We had a really talented team. We had some tough injuries, but at the end of the day, I don't know if our chemistry was rock solid down the stretch. And I think you have to recruit to it. You have to get guys that want to buy into that understand the importance of that, and know how to be loved and can be a part of a family. And so that's something that we really tried to recruit to this year, and we got to build it. We're going to work our tails off in the summer. We're going to put them in uncomfortable situations as much as we can where they got to rely on each other. And we just got to grow as a coaching staff. We got to do a better job than we did last year, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, thank you. Coach Ethridge, I want to get back to the international recruiting here for a second, but I guess my lead into it is you've been to 5 straight postseasons, if my count is right, including 3 NCAA tournaments. Has that cracked open the door a little bit in terms of domestic recruiting, or has it just enhanced your name abroad?
I think we've definitely earned the respect of the domestic, the American kids. Obviously, our success is clear, and what we've done with maybe less, in most eyes, especially in the Pac-12, people thought there's no way that you're as talented as the people you're going against, and to compete at that level certainly gained us some respect nationally. So, and the Pacific Northwest has some really, really, really great young players. So we're going to pursue them. We are obviously on the phone with them. We are trying to get them on campus. Those are all those points where you get them on campus, you build great relationships, you have a chance to sign them. But at the same time, it's been really, really, the international piece has been so good to us. And, internationals for the most part, yes, they can make money. Yes, they find ways to make money. But they're still choosing to come across. And that's a big step for them, all the way across the world. And they have to believe in the people that they're going to go play for. And they have to believe in the place that they're going and the teammates that they're going to go play with. And I think we've done such a good job of bringing those players in and building a community and a family within the university community. Love internationals because they choose us for basketball, which we want them to, but they also love the campus environment, and they love getting a degree, and they want the full university experience. So again, mature kids that generally come across and make a decision at 17 to leave their families, high IQ, they play the kind of basketball that we want to play. It's just such a win-win for us to get some of the very best international players, and we've been really fortunate and worked really hard to find some of those players that maybe others overlook, and they end up being some of the best players in the country. So we're going to continue to do both and hopefully succeed in both areas.
On to postseason berth number 6, right?
Absolutely. We want postseason, NCAA next year.
Yeah, right on. Coach Rogers, in the last 2 years, the Cougs have struggled at times in both lines, the offensive and defensive line. On the offensive line this year, though, you've got 2 returnees, proven guys, who my guess is probably would have done well for themselves if they entered the portal, but they not only did not do it, they did it waving the Cougar flag that we're not going to do it, talking about Christian Hilborn and Brock Dew. Talk about those guys and what they mean to your program and why they weren't tempted like some of the others are.
Yeah, I think those guys they chose to stay here for what this place means to them, which I think is really important. They had opportunities to go elsewhere just with the nature of what college athletics is right now and getting recruited to other teams, and they chose to stay. And I think that's rare these days, and I think it's special. And for me, when you ask the questions about the collective and NIL, I think it's really important to find the right fit, but then you have to be able to show that you care about those players that are loyal and not hold it against them while all their peers are running and looking for an opportunity to make a dollar. You have to support the best players on your team that are willing to stay because they chose Washington State for a reason, and they don't feel like they're being taken advantage of. And I think that's extremely important these days. And those guys have been really a rock for me and the staff, just people to lean on as far as what has been done in the past, what was the energy like, how did you guys do things, especially at a new place that I don't really know that well, right? What'd you do for team activities in the area, and those guys gave me a lot of great ideas, and they've been a really spirited group. I think the O-line is coming together really well together. There's some new faces in there, but there's a lot of talent still there that maybe you guys don't know at that level because they haven't gotten the opportunity. And with the addition of the players that we have at defensive line, I think we'll be all right.
Thanks, Coach. Coach Riley, let's talk about NIL dollars and cents here a little bit. So you've got unlike some of the blue bloods, you've got a finite pot that you're working with. How do you sit down and literally play general manager and decide we've got this much money, this is how we're going to distribute it? Obviously, I'm not expecting you to give me names, but it seems like an arduous process to literally decide who's going to get what.
Yeah, it's new to everyone. There's other leagues, and whether it's in Europe or obviously the NBA, where there's people that have a lot more experience kind of divvying up. It was great when it was scholarship or no scholarship, and those days are over, and we got to make sure we're doing things the right way. I think that with all the kids in the transfer portal and everything going there's a lot of the money's going to those kids that are in the portal, and like Coach Rogers said, we got to make sure that we're prioritizing our guys and really evaluating things the right way. Like, there's still really good high school kids out there. With us where we're at financially, we got to find the right kind of kids, and whether they're international high school kids or guys that we've developed and have been in the program for 2-3 years, I think there's more value in finding some of those outliers than just paying those kids that are in the portal and trying to find the guy that fits because he averaged 7 points per game in a different league or whatever, wherever that is. So for us, we're trying to prioritize the returners. And really just trying to put the best team together, and every year it's different. I think last year we had some guys that were experienced that I had coached that we might have put a little more money into the perimeter. Traditionally, in the NCAA right now, there's more money going into the big guys, and I'm sure in football there's positionally different spots where people get paid a little bit more and less, and so yeah, we're just trying to figure it out day by day.
Wow. That's more than I was expecting. Your job is even more daunting than I thought it was. Coach Ethridge, and you guys be ready. You're getting the same question here. We've got a Cougar audience. We're being live streamed as well, so other people besides who's here will hear this message. Washington State University athletics is at a turning point. We have a chance to be a leader in the new conference, or to be an also-ran, depending on what fans and alumni do here. What is your single most important message to Cougar fans, alums, friends out there right now?
If I just boiled it down, I just think it's time that we get complete and total involvement. And that has to come in forms of more than just, it's great to have people buy season tickets. That's great. It's more important that you actually show up and that you're in the stands and have a seat taken and make sure every seat is taken. But it's also obviously the financial side of it. We just, the university cannot succeed if we don't have real involvement from our fans, from our alumni, from people that have just turned into Coug fans like I have because of just what we represent. You know, we're not the most sexy choice maybe by most, but man, we are real people. We are loyal. We are gritty. We are tough. And we love doing something that's way above our heads with the people that are just like us. And I just love that I love being a part of this group. I love being a part of this university. I love what it represents. And there's no excuse. There's so many people that have left the Washington State and are alumni and that still do not give back, but I just think it's crucial that we get as much involvement as possible and support that we need in order to continue to have a big-time footprint in collegiate athletics.
Coach Riley, same question for you. What's your single message to Cougar Nation?
I think right now it's pretty easy to see there's a lot of change going on in college athletics, and then we're right in the middle of it, going to the new Pac-12, and when there's all that change, there's a lot of opportunity. And I think it's amazing the name brand that we have. I can go travel around the world and go Cougs anywhere. There's alumni everywhere. But this is a chance for us as an athletic department, as a university, going into this new conference with everyone. If everyone gets involved, we have a chance to be leaders in this conference. We have a chance to be not underdogs anymore, but a team that's fighting for championships every single year. Our new president kind of hit it on the head. She met with our athletic department 2 weeks ago and wanted to get the word underdog out of our vocabulary. And that's great to say that. But we need everyone's support. We need the alumni. We need the school to come in and make sure that we're financially, as fan support and everything like that, we're not underdogs anymore, that we're coming in and competing the right way. And so there's a lot of change going on. We need everyone to kind of mobilize and make sure that we're doing this the right way and we're leaders in the new Pac-12.
All right. Coach Rogers, you're up.
Yeah, I would say it's really important to have tradition. It's really important to not forget the history of the program, but it's more important now to be present and be where your feet are at and be focused on what is ahead, because there are many schools that are coming up in their minds, and they're going to be hungry, and we need to match that. And so that takes everybody. That's just not the teams. That's the, Cougar Nation, whether they're in Pullman or in Spokane, we need them in the stands. We need them sharing the word of how special Washington State is and Washington State athletics, because now more than ever, you can have a direct impact on the type of quality of players that you can get and be really competitive. And so rather than complaining about what we're not anymore, we need to be focused on what we could become and what we should become, and I think that's extremely important. The hungry dog eats first, so you got to be ready to get out and run with the best of them.
Thanks, Coach. Guys, quick timeout here. David, time to wrap it up? Okay, well, let's make it 5, because I got to run over here to my booth here in a second. Coaches, I'm going to ask you all the same question again. Kamie, you get to go first because you're the Pac-12 champion here. What should I have asked you so far tonight that I have not asked you?
Well, I don't know if there's a question in it. I just think the appeal and the message that I would have is that every one of you we want to represent you to the highest level that we possibly can. We want to put the best product on the court. We want to be the best role models. We want to be the best competitors. We want you to look at us and go, gosh, I wish my daughter or son or whomever could be like. And if they could just be exactly like that person. That's our goal. That's who we are. I love representing you. I love the passion of being a Coug. And I want that message shouted from the rooftops. And we're not going to apologize for who we are. We're just going to compete at the highest level, and we're going to make you proud.
Coach Riley?
You got me off guard with that one. I honestly, nothing really. I just think events like this and what we've got going on the next week with Night with Cougar Athletics just kind of makes this place special. I've been here for a year now, and to see all these alumni trying to help people out, and the idea of CougsFirst is something that's really special, and just happy to be a part of it.
All right. Coach Rogers.
What was the question?
What should I have asked you that I haven't asked you?
What record did we break this year in football? This semester.
I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you fire away here.
Highest team cumulative GPA.
Congratulations, Coach.
3.15.
3 point, what was it?
3.15.
And how did you achieve that?
Make their ass work.
Coaches, we'll wrap this up here in a second. I was telling a fellow Coug that I was going to be the MC to talk with the three of you. And one of the questions that they asked me about preparing to talk with the three of you was, are there similarities between the three of you that would lend similar questions? And while I didn't answer the question directly, the one thing that struck me about the three of you is that Washington State has hired what I consider three gym rats. You guys, in my private conversations with you, you guys live, eat, and breathe your sport. You can just, in a 5-minute conversation with each of you, that's what you come away with. And I've been so impressed by that, and I think it fits Washington State University to a T. So thanks so much for your time. All the best this coming season, and I really appreciate how transparent you all were in answering my questions. Give them a hand, everybody.
Go Cougs!
Go Cougs!
Hey.
All right, I hope everybody is having a good time. Ain't no party like a Coug party. If you haven't gotten your wristbands, they're still for sale. Try some great beer, cider, wine, seltzers. We have a great session coming up, Scaling with Social. We have some amazing Coug women up here that have done some awesome things. But first, I do want to invite up a friend of mine, Katie with the WSU Alumni Association, for something a little special here. Oh. Got it. All right, Katie, take it away.
Thank you. Well, this is a little awkward. I'm going to sit on the end of your... Go! Go! Migrate your butts back here, please. Hi, Kelsey. So I am your immediate past president of your WSU Alumni Association, and one of the most fabulous things I get to do in this role is recognize awesome Cougs. So, Kelsey Knutson, it is with great pride that we recognize you, a 2012 graduate of Washington State University's College of Business, with an emphasis on entrepreneurship. Kelsey wasted no time diving into her career after graduating, quickly making her mark as a small business owner, business coach, board advisor, and podcaster. Her success isn't just measured by her achievements, but by her willingness to share the invaluable insights she gained along the way. Through her business ventures, Kelsey has become a mentor to many, offering guidance, inspiration, and, sorry, I had to flip over, empowerment to those striving for their own success. Kelsey's passion for entrepreneurship is only matched by her dedication to her alma mater. During her time as the host of the CougsFirst podcast, Kelsey gave us insight into some amazing Cougs stories, from legacies to business success. She met with various coaches and athletes, business executives, community activists, and others focused on supporting WSU through various avenues. Whether through supporting WSU's CougsFirst, the Cougar Collective, collaborating with other Cougs in new endeavors, or other WSU events, she consistently demonstrates her unwavering commitment to the WSU community. Kelsey, your journey is a testament to the power of perseverance, passion, and community. It is with great honor and excitement that we recognize you with the Cougar Pride Award. But wait, there's more. The inscription in Kelsey's award reads, "The Cougar Pride Award was established in 2016 by the WSU Alumni Association to salute those who exhibit unbridled passion for WSU. Honorees are celebrated for their exceptional achievements, contributions to society, and extraordinary service. You shine as a business coach, podcast host, community builder, and we think, most importantly, a Coug. Today, we name you our newest Cougar Pride Award recipient. Congratulations." And I know Matt. And I'm going to give you this. And so you can hold on to that. Did you want to get a picture with, yeah.
Oh, great. Perfect.
I know.
Perfect.
So just go.
Perfect.
So now you get to do a lovely interview with these ladies. Good job. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Katie.
Test.
All right, Kelsey. Sorry about that. Perfect timing, right? All right, well, we're going to get started. We have a great 45-minute discussion, Scaling with Social. Let's welcome these ladies to the stage. Thank you.
You guys, it's the baby's fault. I'm not usually this emotional, I swear. What a high honor, and how fitting that I got asked to do this panel, and I got to hand select these ladies, and this through line here in what was read was really what it means to be a Coug. And all of them were like, why the heck did you pick me to sit up here and talk about social media? But the truth is, social media is a beautiful tool that can help a ton of us. And whether you are a student, whether you are a business owner, whether you just found this event via Instagram or Twitter or whatever, Meta, whatever, I just feel like we need to have a conversation about it. And these women all have such a unique vantage point in how to leverage it in life and business. And that's why we're here today. I'm just so honored that they said yes, first of all. Sorry. And I'm just excited to have this conversation. So without further ado, I'll have each of you just go through and do like a brief intro, your name, your business, and maybe your connection to WSU, and we'll just kind of go in order. Does that work?
All right. Hey, Cougs. I'm Kate Thornton. I'm a fourth-generation apple and pear grower out of North Central Washington. I graduated fall of 2023 from WSU with a degree in business administration, emphasis in marketing, and I've built a social media following of nearly 600,000 talking about apples and pears and who and where your food comes from. So I'm excited to talk with y'all today about that. Woo!
I'm Cassie Hurley. I graduated in 2007 from WSU in food science and human nutrition. I am a registered dietitian and I work primarily in school districts. But I'm here today on behalf of Hurley Media Group, which is another business that we own, and we do all of the media for and production for the Cougar Collective.
Hello, Cougs. My name is Jen Gangwish. I graduated in '07 as well. And currently I'm here. I run College Hill, which was founded in WSU. And today I am celebrating 12 years with the company.
Awesome. Like I said, I'm excited to have this conversation because social media is not one size fits all. Also, business owners busy networking, I'm sorry, but it's not going anywhere. And again, all of these women have a different vantage point, which I'll share a little bit more about why I wanted them to have this conversation. And hopefully my goal today is for all of you catching this live or watching on YouTube, maybe you get some extra value to make the most of these networking events and potentially take your business to the next level or get connected with some cool opportunities. So, Kate, you're up. I want to hear you. You mentioned the size of your audience. You also mentioned the farming side of things. Do you mind sharing with people what you studied in college and your journey through that? Because I think that's also a little bit unique.
Yeah, so I come from a family of Cougs, and I knew WSU was going to be a natural fit for me. And people thought that I was going to go into the ag side, and I decided to actually go into the Carson College because I knew that like business would be actually beneficial for me. Whether it's I am the succession plan, so I will be taking over the farm. So learning the business side of that, but also I knew I'd make great connections in the business college, and that has proved true. I've ran into some of my friends from my experience in the Carson College today, and yeah, I learned a lot about entrepreneurship, like all the components that go into a business, and then I would say like the social media, the stuff that I do, the marketing, in that sense, that was pretty inherent.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to assume your college experience, but you're kind of like the odd duck, right? You're coming from this ag background, and everyone is in marketing and posting on Instagram, probably not about apples.
Yeah, anyone I went to school with, like they got to know me. I was kind of like the resident country girl. Like I drove my big pickup. I have a farm. You know, I wore the boots to my business college classes, and but I totally embraced it. That's absolutely who I am. That's my brand.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. But we have some things to learn from you. So for those in the audience, I want to speak to two different people right now. Number one, my athletes. Because we were just talking off script that athletes have a huge opportunity with NIL, which Cass and I will get to in a minute. But that being said, we talk a lot about NIL from the perspective of the full team, but there's also opportunities from the perspective of individuals. And you have figured out some things and how to get brand deals and market yourself and build a personal brand. And I think athletes, this isn't a chance for you, but a lot of us, whether you're in college or you're wanting to create a personal brand, there's some nuggets we can learn from Kate here. So do you mind sharing some things that have worked for you, some things you've noticed, advice you would give to people wanting to build their personal brand?
Yeah, I hope there are some athletes that can learn from me. I know I come from agriculture, but my sophomore year of college, I lived with two baseball players that played at WSU, and just seeing like the emergence of the NIL program and stuff, I was like, you guys, there's so many opportunities for y'all. And they were watching me in real time work through learning how to be an influencer and building my personal branding and making those brand deals. And I started out at the first ever brand deal I did, which is very bizarre. It was my senior year of high school, and I worked with Bose, like Bose earbuds. And they reached out to me like their agency did, and they sent me an email, and they're like, all right, we want to do the quiet comfort earbuds. These are noise canceling. Come up with a concept that fits both your audience and these points that we want to hit, and then, you know, we'll pay you $1,000. Now I realize I'm like, I could have got so much more money. But to an 18-year-old, that was
yeah, big time.
high living. But anyway, I responded and I was like, okay, I got to figure out something. So I decided, all right, we're going to do farming noises. So sprinkler, tractor, maybe a bird, like twerping or like whatever. And then I was going to be weeding in a garden, because that's more relatable than like the actual orchard work. So I was going to be weeding in our garden, and then I'd, you know, do the noise canceling, and then I'd turn up my earbuds, and the volume would go up, and the music would start playing. And they're like, great, let's do it. But this is the thing I learned. It's like, it's a pretty quick turnaround. So they're like, okay, we need it by end of next week. I'm like, okay, I got a videographer up. I'm like, okay, tomorrow we're gonna film. And I go out there, I'm like, wait, the garden's already weeded. So we had some of our guys, so if you've ever been to an apple orchard, you have a bunch of employees that work for you. Every single piece of fruit is handpicked. So we had my dad, bless his heart, he believed in me. He had a bunch of our guys go and pick weeds and transplant them into our garden.
Authenticity.
For this media production, but it worked out. Bose was very happy. I got to be on a campaign that was featured alongside Russell Wilson. So as you're clicking through Instagram stories, it'd be Russell Wilson, and then it was me with these earbuds. And I was like, and that was like the most struggles I've ever had with a campaign. And so it's all been up, like it's all been downhill, but uphill after that. But that was a real learning experience, and learning how to negotiate and come up with an idea that fits both that brand and my personal branding. And I've had several brand deals since then, but
Yeah.
that was the start.
I was going to say too, did you learn which ones were not a fit for you, even if maybe the money was enticing or just the name behind it was enticing? Has it been hard to kind of turn down some of those?
Oh yeah, I recently had one. I was like offered $8,000 or whatever to say something that I didn't really believe in, and I was like, sorry, no. Because I've also learned, being a marketer and a salesperson, I like to come across as genuine as possible. I am not a good BSer, so I can't really endorse something I don't really believe in, because my audience or people who I'm talking to, they'll know that I don't really believe in it. So I gotta stick into, you know, people follow me. That's a currency, and that means they trust me. So that following that I've built is an audience of people who actually know me and trust my word, especially through my educational content.
For sure, that is so good. And that kind of tees up the ball nicely for Cassie. So Cassie mentioned she's with Hurley Media. And I'm sorry, but we got to educate the people a little bit. So let's back it up. I'm sorry we live in the time, we still have to do this. A quick, what is NIL, what is Cougar Collective, and then how did Hurley Media get involved? Do you mind doing that history lesson?
Yes, so the Cougar Collective is the official NIL partner for Washington State University Athletics. We support athletes, and wait, I wrote, dang it, that's all I'm going to say about that. We're able to support athletes financially through use of their name, image, and likeness. So that means just them doing stuff.
Yeah, and that's,
Using their name, image, and likeness.
it sounds broad, but it also, my like optimistic perspective is it's limitless. Like there's so many creative ways that we can collaborate, not only to help these students as they have their time here, but as business owners. I mean, just listen to Kate's story. That's from one vantage point. We're kind of on the other side now. There's tons of opportunities. So because of Hurley Media, you've gotten to interact with a ton of athletes.
Yep. and
Yeah,
I will,
tell
and
us about
so,
it.
And actually, I was inspired as you were talking about it, because really a big part of it is making sure that their personalities, their personal beliefs match the brand. If they're, you know, if we're trying to get somebody, these are athletes, like I love them, they're wonderful. We have to make sure that their personalities, that their existing online presence is really consistent with what a brand wants to work with and market. And so we do want to be, you know, make sure that they're not taking anything, right? And being mindful of that. The other piece is these athletes, you know, they're not We don't want to expect them to run media companies or anything like that. So that's kind of where we step in as Hurley Media Group. We produce all of the content, all of the ads, all of the promotional content for the collective. We do that for free. We donate all of those services. And we do that because we love it. And we want to help make these athletes look as good as possible and be able to give something that's a quality product to the clients or the brands.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys have done stuff for the team or different members and also individuals. When you think of those individual people who you collaborate with, my mind goes to the John Mateer, which is the very, like, I don't know if you guys all saw that commercial with the apple. Yeah. Just how simple the concept was, but so powerful. So my question to you, when you're thinking of these athletes, these individuals, what is that it factor? Like, what are they doing right to be not only a good fit for those opportunities, but also something that like those brands would want to reach out to?
Well, first, they have to be really good. They have to play well. They have to perform. When they play well, they end up on ESPN. They end up being talked about in a lot of different ways, which is also why we need people to donate and give to the Cougar Collective and join the 1890 Club if you haven't already. However, they have to play well. They have to be good. And then they need to be reliable. They have to be personable. They have to be gracious to these brands that want to work with them. John was all of those things. He still is all of those things. He showed up. He was early. John always showed up to everything early. And then he would hang out. Like, I'll never forget the first time we met him. He showed up a half an hour early. He just kind of wanted to scope things out. I found out later his mom told me, if John is ever late, things aren't going well. He's not doing well. So please check in on him. But he was always early. And then after the shoot, he hung out. He like wanted to hang out. We're old, like we're 40 somethings, and he was like, "You guys doing anything? Can I eat my lunch with you?" We're like, "Sure." But it was a really great way for us to build that relationship with him too. So, a big part of that was just him. And then I think the Claudin family from Valley GMC, they met him when they gave him his truck, and he was very gracious there. So I think those are just the things that, thinking just off the top of my head, that the athletes do that help their brand and that would help us sell them to a brand too. The other piece is just their social media presence. They don't necessarily have to have the most robust social media presence, but if they're behaving themselves essentially on social media, not posting things like we did in the early 2000s.
Facebook albums.
Yes, then there's a good chance that they'll maintain that look and feel that brands are looking for.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant and should be hopeful to people watching and listening, because I think, again, back to the word opportunity, I think there's opportunities here. I want to go down to Jen a little bit. So Jen mentioned that she is the queen bee at College Hill. And College Hill started on College Hill, but it's evolved a lot. Do you mind giving the quick, here's the year we started and what social media was like then? Because it's also shifted a ton, but based off conversations you and I have had, I know it's kind of back on the radar for you guys. So do you mind kind of catching everyone up to speed?
Yeah, thank you. We started in 2012. Social media back then was like the Wild Wild West. Like, everybody was trying to figure it out. There wasn't influencers. It was really easy for us to capture our audience. So at that time, we were working with sororities and fraternities. And we were doing all their date dash shirts, every single piece of apparel you can think of. And not only that, we would send a photographer out to their chapters to take photos of them, and then we would post it. And then that's how we gained our following. We ended up having one of the biggest, and I'm gonna date myself, Pinterest pages out there. We had a really strong marketing team, and we were just so involved on campus. And that was what was really pivotal for us when we started, is we were in Pullman. We were on campus. We had access to sororities, fraternities, college students, and so they helped us build our brand in the beginning, and they wanted to be a part of it because everybody was trying to figure out how to use social media to their advantage. And for us, it was fun because it was like we were throwing these photo shoots, these parties, I don't think I can say that, but we were throwing these photo shoots and these parties, but really it was just because we were Cougs ourselves, and so we came from that environment, and we wanted to show how cool our university was, and we did this through apparel, merchandise, and social media.
Yeah. And it worked then.
It did.
And it worked then, but
It did.
it's different now. And also,
It
the
is.
other piece of the puzzle is your business has massively grown and expanded and shifted since then. So if you were to just replicate that just because it worked back then, it probably wouldn't work the same now. So what's kind of on the radar now, and what's your guys' approach to it in today? And also tell the people a little bit more about who you serve and what has shifted with that too.
Yeah, and I would say if we try to do what we did back then now, it would fall flat. We'd miss our mark, we'd miss our audience, and I would say, I mean, everybody was around when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, collegiate doors really shut down for us, and then we pivoted. Our corporate business grew over 300%, and we didn't look back. And so now our collegiate market is less than, I want to say 15% of our business, and it's all B2B. But I will say the collegiate market is what got us to B2B, because all of the students were graduating, they were taking us with them. But now, back in the day, it was probably around 2018 that we decided social media wasn't for us. We're like, you know what? We're gonna go word of mouth, really focus on relationships, personal relationships, and we didn't see the connection of having that with social media, because to us, social media was partying, showcasing apparel, and it wasn't about those genuine relationships that we were building. Now, I would say it's completely different. So now what we're really trying to do is, instead of showcasing our product, we're trying to showcase the value that we bring for our clients. And so, like, what problems are we trying to solve for them? And nobody does it well in our industry, and I'll be completely transparent. And so I kind of feel we're back in the wild, wild west, because we're trying to now create this value brand for our company and for our business. And I think a lot of businesses struggle with that, but to Kate's point is, you've got to be genuine. And I think for us, we're learning our new voice. We're learning who we are. If I was to go back and do it all over again, we would 100% invest in social media. We'd have a bigger marketing team than our sales team. And I mean, now that I'm saying that out loud, I have the power to change that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're looking into now. We're even looking to go outside of who we know. And we've always, we can do it, we can figure it out. But now we know there's experts out there, and we're smart enough to know that. And so now we're starting to look out, asking people to help us brand ourselves so we can show it best and create this genuine voice behind that message.
Yeah, I think that's super relevant. And because you opened the business door, all of you are going to speak on business, because this is CougsFirst. And we have a bunch of business owners here. And so I want to support you guys and maybe get your minds thinking about some unique ways, easy ways too, where you can take advantage of some of the advice and tips that these ladies are going to share. So Kate, I want to know from your perspective, CougsFirst, what kind of businesses should maybe approach influencers? And also, like, what's the appropriate, like, what's the protocol? Like, what's the protocol? What kind of businesses would be a great fit for something like that? And why should they do it?
Okay, good question. So there's so many businesses out there, and I've worked with a variety of businesses myself. So I work with WSECU, a credit union, and I work with the Cosmic Crisp Apple, and I work with Strauss Workwear. So all of these different components, and you've got to approach them all differently, right? So I think if you're a clothing company, it's very easy to see. There's a lot of traceability. So there's one thing with influencer work that people expect to see a direct correlation between the marketing and the sales, and you can't rely on that unless you have something that is a low barrier to entry, that is relatively low cost, that people can just hit a link and add to cart, and then you'll see like those direct, or they have like a commission-based link and stuff, and you'll get a lot of those tangible like marketing statistics. And most of what I do is just building awareness around things, right?
You're teeing up the ball.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
like, it's the modern day version of me going to my like ladies luncheon and talking about which brand of cookware I'm using and how much I really like it. And it's not like they're saying, oh, Kate, do you have a code with this company or whatever. They're just going out and buying the dang thing. And so you can't really see results on that. But what people will start to do is associate you with those certain brands. So, for instance, apples, okay? So I grew up on an apple and pear orchard. That's very known, but it's because I've talked about it and I've built a relationship and I've showcased, for instance, the Sugar Bee apple and the Cosmic Crisp apple. And because of me putting out videos, people are going into grocery stores and they'll send me a message and say, I think of you every time I see an apple, or I think of you every time I'm in a grocery store. And they're making a purchasing decision based off of those videos. And it's not through an affiliate link or anything, but it's based on an actual impression. So it depends on like what you're putting out there. You got to be realistic of like, can I actually build something that I'll get traceability around and like get those real hard evidence results out of, or do I want to build awareness and do I want to align my brand with this persona online? Do I share a lot of the same values? And so I really appreciate it. Now that I'm at like the level where I've got X amount of followers, I want to be approached by companies that don't want just a splash in the bucket, not just one video, one post or whatever. I want to build an actual relationship, because that's where I see the most results, is if I'm showing up time after time. I think the statistic is someone has to see something 7 times for them to actually like compartmentalize it and put it in their brain and it actually sticks, right? So if I can show up over and over and over, my face, my voice associated with this brand, that's where you're gonna get the most efficacy.
Yeah. I imagine in a TikTok world, it's like double now. But yeah, no, I think you're totally right. And I think that, I hope that people here find hope in that, because the keywords there were relationship and longevity and authenticity and alignment. And I don't think that excludes any business who has a booth or is sitting in the audience. It's just a matter of finding the person who has that thing that connects with you.
I have one more point too.
Love it, do it.
So a lot of businesses will approach and say, okay, I want you as an influencer to say this one thing and I have this idea for you. No, you're hiring me as an influencer who knows my audience, knows the people who are following me, knows the people who are going to be watching this video, and just get me up to speed on what your product is, what your brand is, what your service is. Educate me as much as possible, and then it's my job to look and take that information and like cross-reference it with what the interests of my audience are, and come up with a concept just like that Bose commercial that will really resonate with people who know me, and then they'll get to know your brand through me.
Yeah, that's so smart. I hope everyone wrote that down. I'm writing that down.
And on that point,
Yeah.
I can speak
Yeah.
from experience.
Please do.
So, when NLI was first starting, we were in the start of it. So we had Cam, Ward, and we had RJ Stone. We're like, contracts, we're gonna sign, we're going to have them wear our shirts. We're going to sell their shirts. We're going to have them do everything we want them to do. Oh, and they're students and they're full-time athletes. That was an unrealistic expectation. And we quickly realized after 6 months of not wanting to interrupt their season, but 6 months of just, I guess, lost time, is like we needed to bend and realize that let them be who they are, let them shine, and let them just bring us to their audience organically. And so we flipped our whole entire NIL approach, the way we looked at it, and it was more about getting behind the athlete and supporting them at doing what they do really well, and then they'll bring us along with them. And the minute we did that, both parties felt more genuine. And then Cougar Collective came, and I was like, oh, thank God, somebody else can run this. We don't have to try to do it ourselves. And so I just think it's really important that you guys even exist, because you've helped with businesses align with those athletes and not get in their way, not take away from what they're supposed to shine and do. And so for that, I think social media is really well, but from a business standpoint, from what Kate said, don't go with a speech, don't go with an expectation, let them shine. That's why you're hiring them. That's why you want them to speak on your brand and wear your brand.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and just to kind of add on to what both of you have said, you know, it can be really hard to measure ROI on any kind of advertising endeavor. But what we've found is with this kind of the approach that we've taken with the athletes and making high quality ads, placing them in multiple different platforms, so social, OTT, cable, games, sometimes it shows up in places that we didn't expect. People go, and Cougs love Cougs. So Cougs will go into these businesses and say, I saw that commercial and that's why I'm here. And so it can be so effective, and that's a great way to measure it that you don't always get through working with brands and businesses.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm also known as the KPI girl. I love my KPIs. I love tracking data, and I also love to get shit done. Sorry, Tony. But that being said, I think there are times where the ROI is not as like black and white as all of them alluded to, and that's okay. But there's other ways to be aware of and have conversations, data, DMs, messages, texts that say, hey, you're going in the right direction with this thing, that worked, let's do it again, or wow, that's really not responding to the people we want to respond with. So I think I'd love to hear just general advice from each of you, whether you want to speak to, again, someone building their personal brand or more on the business side of the house. Pick which house you want. And then I'd love to hear just what's on your mind as we're having this conversation. You want to go first?
Oh, there's a lot of great points. Okay, so you talk about KPI. I was not using my good WSU vernacular that I was supposed to learn in my classes. KPIs and ROIs, I definitely learned that, and I was not even using that in my spiel. So your KPIs in the influencer world would be the comments, the likes, the shares, the DMs, because those are genuine impressions, and you can go into it more and figure out, like, okay, what is the gender, what is the age, what are the demographics of these certain people that are interacting. But bottom line, for every person who's interacting, there's probably 10 more that thought the same thing that just didn't interact. Because how many times are you scrolling through and you see something and you're like, huh, that was cool, and then you just keep scrolling, and you didn't even like it, you didn't even like comment on it, but it made an impression that stuck in your brain. So I did a recent video, well, I guess it was back in December. I did a video talking about there's a natural wax on apples, all right?
I remember this.
And I got 12 million views, okay? And I just didn't want people to be afraid of the food that they're buying and stuff. And there was a ton of comments on that. But I also know there were so many people that were reviewing that video, and they were going home, and they were bringing that piece of information at their family gathering. They're saying, oh, did you guys know this? And they scrape an apple, and they show wax on an apple. And that's probably because of my video, right? And it's creating this discussion. It's the word of mouth. It's the modern day word of mouth, just sharing information, all right? Social in the social media world. And then bottom line, I would say, work with influencers, but you also have to be working on building your own brand identity. Okay, so sharing your story, leaning into what differentiates you in the market, lean into what makes you unique, what is your founding story, what is some ways that you've had to pivot as a business. Share that story, because storytelling is like the oldest form of communication. Think about cavemen, right? How did they share information? Storytelling. So if you can show a beginning, a middle, some sort of action in the middle, and then an end, there you go. You got a story. Share your story. Figure out what your story is.
Yeah, beautiful. How about you, Cass? Any advice, and you can pick?
I don't know if it's so much advice as just sharing the effectiveness and truly the cost effectiveness of working with athletes, and that's really what I'm coming with this
Hat. This hat you're wearing.
Thank you. Yes. Because it works really well, and businesses have found that it actually is a reduced cost per, he describes it as a cost per thousand, and he being my husband. It's cost per thousand. That's a way that we measure reach, essentially. And with the marketing that we've done, or what we've been able to do with the collective, it's a reduced rate. Part of it's because we donate the production. So that's, you don't have to pay for a commercial, but also the reach is so far and so impactful. And he is able to target, when it comes to marketing, he can target, Cougs or certain groups, but it's really effective. So if you have a business and if you are interested in partnering with athletes, please let us know. This is an area that we have barely, and that's why I want to talk to you too, Kate. We have barely scratched the surface on, and it's something that, we help coordinate with athletes too, so that it is not quite so cumbersome, because I think it's sort of one of those where it's like, well, how do I even start? Where do I start? Start with us. We'll help you do the creative. We'll make the ad for free, and we'll help you get it placed out there so that
Can I hire you? I
had
love
to
this.
do that all myself.
Yes, I know. I was like, I have so much to say about apples. I
I'm
know a lot more
secretly
about
matchmaking
apples.
right now.
I was like, let's talk. I do. I have a lot to say about apples, but I'll save that for a different day. It's the dietitian in me. That's my other hat.
Follow her for more dietitian. Joking, but not joking. Jen, I want to hear from you too. As you're sitting here and you have the neat, unique vantage point of how social media has evolved, you kind of see it from different perspectives. Just any advice for people in the room that you think we need to address?
Yeah, I would say be comfortable with yourself. You know, I think with Kate, she is putting herself out there, and that is hard, you know, and you have to show up and be genuine every single day and fight off the trolls, for better lack of words of what I'm going to call them. But from a business standpoint, just lean into who you are. Tell that story. And I think for us, as we have just been really trying to find out what our new story is, and we just forgot, like, where we started is where our story's at. And, like, we can just tell how we've evolved. And so that's the approach we're going to take, and we're going all in. But also follow other people. Like, I'm learning from you guys. MK's out there in the crowd. I love his social media. It's so entertaining. If you don't follow him, follow him. But seriously, Kelsey, I follow you. Get shit done. Like, I get shit done because of you. You know, like, hold yourself accountable and look up to other people who are doing what you want to do. Learn from others. And that is what I think the beauty of social media is like, it has opened up this entire world of information where, gonna date myself, we used to gatekeep a lot of our secrets, you know, and now, like, you don't gatekeep anything, you share it, because that's how you build community and that's how you get better, and that's what the whole Coug spirit's about.
Absolutely. I feel like you have thoughts. Go ahead.
I do have thoughts. Okay, business owners and then anyone who's an athlete or is interested in sharing their story on social media, you've got to trust the younger generation, because my age group and younger than me, we are the most marketed to generation of all time. So the way that we approach advertising and marketing and stuff is totally different than anything that you guys have seen growing up. I'm talking like even elder millennials and older, okay? Because I'm gonna bring it back to apples. I'm not gonna sit there and hold an apple and say, this is a damn good apple. This is the most sexy apple and you guys should buy this apple. I'm gonna
What's wrong with just eating an apple?
okay, that might work, okay? That's just no words or anything, just eat an apple. You can influence people.
Step one, be John.
But yeah, it's telling the story all around. And back to storytelling. Telling everything around a product or around a service, because my generation and the generation younger than me, we don't like to be told what to do. So stop telling us what to do, whether it's you're talking to an influencer or you're talking to a general consumer audience. Don't tell us what to do, but let us tell a story authentically, and then let people have enough information that they can make a purchasing decision based off of that. And I'm telling people that all the time.
I feel like she's telling me that. I love it. Yes, it can be that simple. And sorry, now people are going to come up and ask your opinion because you told them to.
I've got opinion.
No, it's great. I have like a custom question for each of you to kind of wrap this up before then I tell people where to follow you and DM you a bunch if you have questions. But Kate, the first one's for you. What is your favorite type of content to create? You can choose platform or however you want to take that question.
Oh, that's a great question. I love that these are all improv.
I'm nosy. These are just the things I want to know.
So content, okay, one big thing, especially I think with women, is burnout, all right? I think anyone can relate. Burnout is so huge. Burnout is huge. And like growing up in farming, are you kidding me? We haven't seen good returns in 10 plus years, all right? How do you not get burnt out? It's by going out there and actually enjoying the things that made you fall in love with that career in the first place. So one of the things, I do educational content, but that takes a lot of brain power for this little blondie right here. And it takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of me like putting my energy into it. Sometimes I need to break it up and I do like a skit, I do a trending video, I tap into my creative side and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why I love it. And I start a discussion, and it doesn't always have to be super heavy content. So changing my pace, I like to do something that's more trendy, more like taking what is heavily consumed at the time and catering it towards what my niche is, and getting creative in that space and creating a dialogue around that in a fun, approachable way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Cassie. Your custom question. What's the most random but awesome connection you've seen via social media, either through the work you guys have done, the athletes you know? I mean, you work with a lot of people.
So this one was interesting, and it was just recent. So after the Holiday Bowl, Zevi entered the transfer portal briefly, and he put out there that I just want to see what's out there. He was very mature about it, and Brian. People were talking, and people had some not nice things to say, and so Brian, my husband, decided to say, hey, he was really mature about it. Let's support him. He's seeing what's out there, and Zevi's dad saw it and sent it to Zevi. And so when we talked to him, when I reached out to talk about doing some work this spring, he was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to hear from you. And I'm so excited to work with you. And then this gets even more weird because, not weird, but and we were like, oh, that's so nice to hear. But then his dad met another one of our friends just last weekend, and he was like, oh, we really appreciated what that Hurley Media guy said. And so it was just really, what that really told me is that they see it. The athletes see what people say. And I don't know that this is like a good positive random connection, but it's one that people need to know, that these athletes see it, it hits them, it hurt, they're humans. And as much as we may have feelings about the transfer portal or NIL, it gets out there. So I just kind of caution everybody before you tweet.
Well, and I think that is such a Coug thing to respond to a comment like that and see human on the other side of that. That is an opportunity we all have to support each other and have that accessibility to each other that other universities don't do. And it extends beyond the time you're there. That's why this exists. That's why Kate is here. I slid into those DMs, believe I did. And that is why we need to continue that dialogue and support, because we really need each other right now for many, many reasons. So, okay, Jen, your custom question is, you start a brand new baby little business tomorrow. What is your social media strategy or just marketing strategy?
Good question. If I was starting a brainchild tomorrow, my marketing strategy would be to hire a full force marketing team. Just really, if you're going to put my money where my mouth is, I need support. And I'm smart enough now to know I don't know everything, and I need to surround myself with people that have those skills that I don't have. And so even new company or current company, we are heavily invested in our marketing. We see the need in it, and we want to get connected. We want to show you guys how we've grown up. And through social media, my favorite connections I've made were with Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch. And those both came from apparels they saw on social media. They DM'd us and was like, how can we get those? And so I was like, oh my gosh, it works. This is so cool. I made it. Russell Wilson knows who I am. But no, seriously, get inspired and get excited about that. But yeah, no, invest in marketing. It's not going anywhere. Social media is not going anywhere, and it's just going to continue to grow. And you have to be ready to hop on the next social media train. And TikTok, I remember when TikTok came around, I was like, oh, I'm not going to do TikTok. I'm like, we've got to figure out TikTok, folks. There's a TikTok shop. There's so much opportunity. Twitter, X, Facebook, Pinterest. Instagram, there's always something going to come around the corner, and you've got to be on top of it, or you've got to hire a team to be on top of it for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's a reason we didn't just sit here and tell you what platforms to be on or what hashtags to use or to not use, depending on the day. And I think a lot of the things that work well start with this: the authenticity, the connection, it's the ability and willingness to commit to it. And so I'm just so glad all of you showed up. Those that are watching this segment, thank you for your time today. I want to keep this conversation going, so I'm going to have everyone share maybe the best place to stay connected if you want to. I'll go first. I have a podcast called Get Shit Done, but I'm also most active on Instagram, and my handle is Kelsey Marie Knudsen. And send me a DM. Say hello. I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead.
I am Apple Girl Kate on most social media platforms, and then I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my favorite social media, so just connect with me, Caitlin Thornton. That is spelled Kaitlyn.
So my Instagram is just me, and it's pictures of my kids and at WSU football games or just in Pullman because it's our favorite place in the world. So if you want to follow me, it's Cassie L. Hurley. But if you're more interested in our business, Brian is really active on Twitter. He's Hurley Media G. And then we also have an Instagram that's Hurley Media Group. And he also loves LinkedIn, which is Brian Hurley. But I am not as good. Jared walked away, but I'm not as good. You can link with me too, but I'm not as good at that. I guess it sat. Jared sent me a request, and it sat in my inbox for 4 days. So there's my confession. I'm sorry. I'm speaking on a social media panel.
Perfect. Awesome. How about you, Jen?
Like Cassie, I'm very private. So if you come to my personal page, you're going to get to know me, my family, how much I love WSU, how much I love to travel, and I love the sky. You'll see stars, moons, sun, sunsets. I grabbed every handle. It's Gangwish. I was a Smith before getting married into Gangwish, and I was the first person to grab the Gangwish handle on every single social. But to follow College Hill, we also have the College Hill group on every single social as well. I would say follow the College Hill group if you want to know more about brand and merchandise, how we can help your company grow. If you want to know about me and my family, Gangwish, and that's Gangwish.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Thanks for dealing with me. And I just appreciate you ladies so much for sharing all your knowledge. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you.